everyone, welcome back to ESCXTRA. Even though we both speak each other's first language, we will be speaking in English today, and I am here with Gustaph from Belgium.
Hi, Bente. How are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
I'm glad. So, how are the preparations for Eurovision coming along?
Good. Yeah. The closer we get to leaving for Liverpool, the more confident I actually become about the performance. Because, the beginning, when you just start thinking about what you're going to do, there's a lot of question marks. And the more question marks that we are solving, the more confident I become about our performance in Liverpool. So it's going well.
I'm glad. I imagine you're spending every day like rehearsing the performance.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of stuff, making sure the outfits are right, coordinating the styling with everyone who's involved on stage, getting all the interviews sorted. Like today is a whole day of promo. It's also very important to get our message out there to people like you. So it's full on Eurovision, that's for sure.
Awesome. I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm very, very happy. I'm very blessed to be doing this for sure.
I'm so glad. So first of all, just kind of to get things started, what inspired you to get into music? When did you get started with that?
Well, I've always been someone who, from a very young age, was always driven to be on stage and to perform in front of people. I think from when I was a toddler already became a parent. There's footage of me when I was 2 years old singing and performing in front of people. So it was always a very big part of my life. And I think I started studying music from a very young age, at the age of 7. And I was already working in studios as a songwriter from the age of 13. So it was always a goal to become an artist and a musician. So it's always been there. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really nice. Yeah, that you just started so young and it's just been continuous ever since, and you got to make a career out of it as well.
Yes. Yes.
And
Very nice.
what I also find interesting is you probably like when people are watching it right now, they can also see your name is Steph Kaars.
Yes.
What made you choose the stage name Gustav?
Well, to make it as short as I can, because it's a long story, but I'm going to try to make it short as I can. Is I started out actually under another pseudonym called Stefan when I was 18 years old. I signed my first record contract, and I had a pop single called "Gonna Lose You" that was released here in Belgium, and it became a hit here. And I won like the Grammys from here. I won like the best debut prize. When I reached that level of fame and that level of success that I always aimed for, I kind of got to look behind the curtain, and I saw the scenery of the music business, and I didn't really like it particularly because I also felt I was always very out and proud as a gay man, and I was told a little bit not to like hide it, but to keep it mysterious. So I kind of like was a bit frustrated about that at a young age because I felt in order to have success, I have to hide a part of myself. So that felt a bit wrong. So I kind of quit the music business at that point at a very young age. I think I was 20 when I said I don't want any part of this, and I started focusing on my studies, and I got a master in jazz, and I started working as a musician. But then, of course, after a while, I felt the need to express myself and to express my own artistic vision, and that's when I created the pseudonym Gustaph. Because I wanted Gustaph to be a new start for me, and I wanted to be an artist with no excuses for himself, who is fully and free in who he is as a person, as an artist. So Gustav is a manifestation of me wanting to start anew and with a whole new perspective on my life and career.
I love that. I love that it's so personal for you, such a way to start all over again, and this
Yeah,
time really being who you want to be with your
exactly,
music as
exactly.
well. That's great. I also want to talk about Eurosong, the Belgian national final. Um, One of my favorite moments from the whole Eurovision season was your reaction when you won Eurosong.
Yes,
What was that experience like?
the meme that keeps on giving. Uh,
Yes, so good.
uh, we all saw my face, so I definitely was surprised. But I want to make clear that I wasn't surprised because I was not ambitious or I wasn't aiming to win, because I definitely was very ambitious about what I was doing. But I think that was a sort of self like protection mechanism where you're kind of like, yeah, it's going well, but I'm sure I won't win, or like it's something that you kind of do to keep yourself safe, I think. And I think I took it one step too far by really not expecting it at all at that point. But I mean, I definitely was ambitious, and I also felt after my performance, oh, something happened here. I did feel, oh, this could be. It felt like a good moment, But because we were with seven people, and I wasn't particularly the favorite of everyone, I was realistic, I think, about it. And then when it happened, I was in shock, but also super happy. It was a combination of shock, but also happiness. And I think there was all those emotions were definitely readable on my face in that moment.
I loved it. It was so sincere, you know?
It was definitely sincere, that's for sure.
I love that. And of course, you were also already a backup singer for Senec and Hooverphonic. What made you
Yes.
decide to enter Eurosong and be like, this is my year in the spotlight?
Well, I think it was always kind of on my bucket list, and I think the VRT once asked me to participate in 2016 as one of the candidates
Ooh.
for Eurovision, but it was not the time, and I had a very different schedule. I was still part of a band called Hercules and Love Affair, and it just wasn't the right moment. But it kept being a possibility in the back of my head, and I was always a bit like gutted about the idea that I didn't get to do it. And I think by being part of the delegation in 2018 with Senec and 2021 with Uberphonic, I fell in love even more with the whole Eurovision concept because you're really part of it, and you see see the people who are so into it. You see the stadium, you feel the energy, and I also felt a proud moment every time I had to sing along with the contestant because you do feel something of a pride for your country, and you feel like you have to defend the honor of your country, which I thought was a very special feeling. And then when the chance came to do it, I felt like, let's manifest what I've always said I wanted to do. And I really felt in my heart like you have the chance now you have to go fully for it. Yeah, for sure.
I can completely understand that. Yeah, especially after then 2016, where it was like maybe not this time, and then it just like it was a natural progression, I would say.
Yes, yes.
Nice. And of course, we have to talk about your song "Because of You." How would you explain the meaning behind "Because of You"?
Well, because of you, I've written that song with Jawad Alul, a fellow queer artist here in Belgium, and we wanted to write something that really was like a self-empowering anthem, something that really celebrates who you are, and at the same time thanking the people who brought you to that place of self-acceptance and self-empowerment. In my case and in Jawad's case, that is a perspective that comes from a queer perspective because I think a lot of queer people find their own tribe and find like-minded individuals who went through a similar experience as you, and they thrive off each other. They become a family. They become a chosen family. But we also wrote a song to be self-empowering for everyone. So this song can be played at a pride or at a gay club, but it can also be played by a housewife who's cleaning her house and wants to put on a self-empowering song. Don't mean that in a bad way. It's just more like it's something that can speak to everyone. Meaning it could also be like just because I have a lot of people in their 60s, 70s who love the song. It's beautiful to see the song translates to so many different people from so many different perspectives and so many different ages. So I think the most important thing about the song is that it is making us look at our similarities more so than our differences, and that's really what the song was about.
Oh, nice, nice. I like that. And this concept of found family, especially within queer places, is
Yes, yes.
yeah. I'm sure a lot of people who watch Eurovision overall can
Yeah, they can
relate
connect
to
to the
that.
story. Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Absolutely. What was it like to write the song? How did that happen?
Well, it happened here in this studio, and
Oh, cool.
yeah. So I wrote that song with Jawad again, and yeah, it was just more like it was written quite quickly because we had a very cool or a very clear concept of what we wanted to do. And I just started to, we listened to some music referentially, and you can hear that in the sound because the sound is definitely a retro 90s vibe. We were influenced by early 90s house music and diva-esque vocals. So it kind of came together very quickly, and I think the best songs usually are songs that show their face very quickly. They're usually the best ones. So that's something that definitely happened with this song.
Nice, nice. And I also have to talk about it. You're wearing it right now, the hats. I
Yes.
would call it the staple of your performance. It really it stands
Yeah.
out. It's a
Yeah.
museum piece, right? I think I heard that in the
Yeah,
Eurovision
this
podcast.
one is not, but the one I wore for the
Yeah.
for national final was. Yeah, it's so it's designed by Walter van Beirendonck, which is a very big designer who's been working since the 80s. He was part of the Antwerp Six. That's like for the aficionados, like one of the most important movements in Belgian fashion. And he was gracious enough to lend me some clothes. And it's a quite an honor for me to wear a Belgian designer as a Belgian artist. You know, that's really something important to me. And yeah, I just, you know, it feels good to have that perspective because fashion is really a part of my brand, if I can call it that. It's something that I always work and play with as an artist because it helps me to become Gustaph even more. So the hats, the accessories, the clothes, it's all an element into me becoming Gustaph.
Nice, and I'm sure we can expect to see something like this replica on the Eurovision stage, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely do something with a headpiece, that's for sure. I can tell you that
Oh,
for a fact. Yes.
oh, interesting, interesting. But we'll have to wait until the second semi-final to
Yes,
see the
exactly.
final piece. Yeah. Speaking of Eurovision, what is your relationship with Eurovision like? Are you a big fan?
Yes, I always was a big fan, especially started out when I was a kid already. It was very much like a family gathering when I was very young, as a lot of people, I think, in those days. I'm 42, so I grew up in like in the 80s when we still gathered around television for everything. And you know, we it was always a family moment, a national moment, and it's something that I look back on with a lot of nostalgia and love. And I remember from when I was about 7, 8 years old, it already became something I looked forward to. And I used to make lists with the best performance, the best singer, the best outfits. And I continued doing that until I was about 19, 20 years old for sure. And then I kept following it, but I think I got into it more like around 2010, 2011, 2012. Because I did feel a shift for me, at least, in the competition where it became more broad again, and it was very eclectic what we saw on stage. There's always a bit of camp, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I love a bit of camp every now and then, but it was more like variety in that sense. And then I think by being part of the delegation in 2018 and 2021, that tilted me over the edge. That made me like a super fan again. So it's yeah. And last year's the same. I was following it and I was hanging out with friends and making lists again. So you know, it's something that's always been a part of me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And don't worry, like I am 24 and I'm still gathered around the TV with all my friends. So
Ah,
it's
cool.
still a thing, it's still a
Good.
thing.
That's a good
Yes.
tradition.
And I usually ask people about their favorite Eurovision song of all time. You posted a TikTok, I think yesterday,
Yes,
where
yes,
you
I
made a
did.
list. So instead, I would like to ask, why is Where Are You your favorite Eurovision song of all time?
Well, it's a song that I still listen to after all these years. It's still something that's on my playlist all the time that I listen to, and I think because I'm influenced a lot by electronic music, by dance music, by house music, and it's one of the very few tracks, in my opinion, that really incorporates those elements into a Eurovision song. Plus, I love the song itself. I think the melody is beautiful. The lyrics are very haunting and melancholic and quite dark, actually, for Eurovision song. And then the last, or like the what tilts it even over the edge more is the fact that Imani has such a beautiful voice, and I love even for me personally, I love the live version or the live version that we see on the internet during the final of Eurovision is the most beautiful version because she sings it beautifully. Plus, there were some added strings on there. This was still the time when they had the orchestra there, and they added some beautiful, luscious string arrangements that made it even more melancholic. And it's just a song that I can hear over and over and over again and never get tired of it.
I can completely imagine. It's amazing, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
it's
great
timeless
song.
as well.
It's timeless. Absolutely.
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 So I really only have one question left, which is, do
Okay.
you have a final message for your fans over at Easy Extra?
Well, I think for me, for everyone who is following you and who's following the podcast and the website, um, I think what you're doing is very very important because it all starts with the fandom with Eurovision. You know, it's a very big community, and I think there's a lot of people around you, a bigger public that probably also watches every year. But you're fire starters. You start the whole festival. You're following the national finals. You're really involved with everything, and it's quite unique what's happening with Eurovision because it's not only unique for Europe, it's unique for the world. And I think it's such a beautiful. The heart of the competition is still beautiful to me. I know there's a lot of a lot of other stuff that happens around a competition, but the heart of it is that we're looking for the most beautiful song that was written in Europe that year. And it's a very noble cause to work for. And I think you're supporting that cause in a very beautiful way. So thank you for doing all that work.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm touched. Thank
Yeah, it's
you.
the truth. It's the
That's
truth.
so nice. That's so nice. Well, Gustav, thank you so much for joining me today,
Pleasure.
and I wish you all the best on your Eurovision journey.
Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Thank you.